Shaun White has enjoyed an astonishing snowboarding career. A four-time Olympian, White has won 3 Olympic half-pipe gold medals.
Pretty good, first run. A little snow in the pipe, but we're gonna see how it's running.
He is an icon of snowboarding, but as he looked to qualify for Beijing 2022, a potential 5th Olympics, White admits at 35, the road has become altogether more difficult.
It's gotten a lot harder, just as, I've gotten older and my abilities have slowly, it just takes more to be up there every day. My back will just tighten up out of nowhere. Me going, well, okay, like how am I gonna wrench 3 flips, 20 feet in the air when I can't twist to here? There's hindrances and so I'm plugging away as best I can.
I was in the middle of it like, am I where I think I am?
Some of the riders are pushing ahead, but I'm not very far behind. And things can change overnight, learn a new trick. This is a very unique sport where you can create something overnight, something brand new, and be the best. I either crush it and do well, and I'm so excited and what a great goodbye, or things don't go as planned and I pass the torch to the next generation. And this will be it. I think I'm done after this.
White was born in San Diego in 1986 and grew up in nearby Carlsbad, California. Shaun was the youngest of 4 children.
My brother, who is 7 years older than me, he was always doing like the newest, coolest thing. And so he had a skateboard, so I wanted to skateboard. He would do this, play these video games, so I wanted to do whatever he did, I had to do. And my brothers, came to my parents and said, I want to do this new thing, snowboarding. And they're like, I don't know, and they allowed him to do it, and I was just sitting there in envy, like I want to do what he's doing. So I begged my parents. I picked it up pretty quickly, and learned it, because I had skateboarded a little bit. I was familiar with the slopes from having skied before, so I picked it up pretty quickly, and that just started everything.
Although snowboarding quickly gained popularity in the 1990s, professionalism and Olympic recognition for the sport was far from certain.
As I moved my way up the ranks, I think around 13 is when I went pro. At that point, I knew what my parents did for a living. My mom was a waitress, my dad worked in the city of San Clemente in the water department, and I kind of had a rough idea of how much money they made, and I'm thinking about, wow, if I just win a couple of these contests, I could, the math in my very, very small childlike, state, I kind of understood it could be a possibility, and then boom, it became an Olympic sport.
Snowboarding was first introduced into the Olympics in 1998. For the 2002 Games, aged 15, White narrowly missed out on a place on the US team. But 4 years later, now 19, White booked a spot on the US Olympic team for Turin 2006.
I don't think I knew the magnitude of it, and thankfully, because I would have been more incredibly nervous than I already was. But I remember showing up and just what an experience. Like, you kind of leave yourself at the door and you become part of Team USA when you show up. At the start gate for my finals run, I just nailed it. I crushed it. It was the first run I put down. It was spectacular. I was so excited and so happy, and I posted this amazing score. I was in first place. And I had another run lined up, and I'm standing there at the top, and I'm watching competitor after competitor go, and no one's bested my score. And I'm kind of like, okay, and I'm like waiting, and I'm not letting it sink in until all of a sudden the last person goes. I think they fell, and I had won the Olympics, and everybody was so happy. And I remember my mom leaned into me, and this is when things really kind of started to take place in my head. I started to understand the magnitude of what happened, but she leaned in and said, hey, you don't understand like what you just did. She said, she was hugging me, and she was just like, you will forever be known as Shaun White, the Olympic gold medalist. That title will carry on and follow you the rest of your life. And I was just like, oh my God, like, okay. And my life wasn't the same.
White defended his Olympic halfpipe title in 2010 in Vancouver, but in 2014 in Sochi, White would depart disappointed.
I had the winning run. I mean, it was mine to win. I was standing at the top, and I don't know, just something inside of me, I just knew, just like when I know I'm going to win, I knew something was off. I was like, this just... And I couldn't, it was so weird. I couldn't do anything to fix it in that moment. I was like, this is gonna happen. At this point, I had never gone to an Olympics and lost. So I was just like, what now? What's my life gonna be like? What happens next?
Despite that setback, White committed to a new 4-year Olympic cycle. But in 2017, on a training run in New Zealand, ahead of the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympics, he suffered a severe facial injury. He required 62 stitches, and he began to question whether he should retire from the sport.
I've had my crashes, and this one, it just kind of came out of nowhere, and it was brutal because it was my face. It's like, I remember being like, okay, maybe this is a sign that I should stop. My coach at the time was like, hey, we're pushing it, like, family, friends, everybody was like, look, you got the medals, like, you're good. Like,
although time was against him, White qualified for the 2018 Games in Pyeongchang.
Getting to that Olympics was such a kind of emotional journey because I had previously not done well at the Olympics before that one, and it wasn't because of physical reasons. It was my head was out of the game. I had just lost that fire, that drive to win.
In the Olympic final, White was in second place with one final run remaining.
I remember walking out thinking like, wow, okay, like what an amazing, just a medal at the Olympics, just to go to the Olympics is epic. To medal is amazing. And I remember thinking like, okay, I can live with second place, if anything happens. And I remember the thought just kind of popping into my head like, well, yeah, you could live with it, but you don't have to. You could win it right now. And I remember just being like, that just set this tone, and I was just in such a great mood, and I was ready, and I had this run in mind that I knew if I put it down could win. And I just remember time slowing down, and it was just like, this is my moment, this is my time.
White decided that for the final run, he would attempt the trick that put him in hospital just a few months earlier.
It was literally a deja vu, the same situation. There's one more run to go. I'm the last guy. And I sat there at Sochi. I was like, I'm not going to win. And fly 4 years ahead. I'm sitting there, last run, one guy to go. I was like, I'm going to win this. And I remember coming out of that last trick with this, like, I don't know if I've even done that trick better. It was just this perfect finish, perfect landing. And I slide into the gate, and I'd won my third Olympics. It was wild. And I just broke down in tears. I'd never been that emotional at an Olympics before.
The stage is now set for Beijing 2022. White feels the Games will be spectacular.
I'm so excited. I think that whenever the lens of the world is turned on to one place and everybody's tuning in, and to go to China, like, I just know they're gonna bring it. They're gonna put on the best show. I'm so excited for the the opening ceremony, because I know, what a colorful and exciting, beautiful culture they have. So I'm very excited. I remember watching the Beijing Summer Olympics, and I was just like, whoa, this was like a performance that they put on for the opening ceremony. So I'm really excited about that. And I heard that the half pipe venue is very, let's be honest, what's important here to me. Like, I heard the half pipe's amazing. I heard it's a really quality setup they have. I'm sure it's going to be spectacular.
White is also excited at the prospect of a boom of interest in the sport in China.
I think it's incredible. There's amazing talent coming from China, and I'm actually very excited for the Olympics to be there. It's grown dramatically, and I think what's so wonderful about the Olympics being in China is that, these sports have had this like slow growth, and I feel like with the Olympics coming and everybody tuning in to see, I feel like these sports are really going to explode.
White's preparations for Beijing 2022 have been far from perfect, but there still remains the potential of a fourth gold medal.
Of course, I'm a competitor. I would love to win. I'd love to stand on that podium. You can't help but, hope and dream for the best outcome, and to maybe find that trick the day before the event. You never know how it's going to go down. I mean, look, at the last Olympics, I landed a run I had never landed before to win the whole thing. So you never know. It's on the day of. I mean, it would mean the world to me, obviously, to win and to wrap up a career with another Olympic gold. But I'm bracing myself for all outcomes, and I think that's what's kind of keeping me in a good headspace. But yeah, I'm going to give it my all for sure.
As for White's future after snowboarding, White is already making plans.
I was talking with Tony Hawk, professional skateboarder, amazing guy. I remember sitting with him, and he's like, well, I retired at 32. And I remember seeing, and he's like, he's busier than he's ever been. You know what I mean? And I think that's so wonderful about these sports is, retirement is a word or a label we're going to put on it, but there is a whole life after being competitive. In the sport. I've kind of peeked through that door, but I've never really just opened it up, and I'm so excited to see what that's like. And I know it's going to be that next big adventure for me, doing things like this, with my own brand and company. And, I think it's going to be probably more active than I currently am, on many different levels. So I'm just excited to see what that's like.